Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to our meeting tonight, and I'll call on Mr. Brinkley for prayer.
Let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to come here tonight. We just thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon each one of us. We ask you for your wisdom as we begin this meeting. We acknowledge that we need your wisdom and insight as we welcome your presence among us. Guide us in our discussion and decision, helping us to seek what is best for all involved. We trust in your perfect wisdom and ask that you direct our meeting according to your will. For we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. At this time, we'll call this meeting in order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion at this time for the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, so move.
Motion been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. The motion carries. Hope everyone's had a chance to look at the minutes of our May 9th meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
The motion been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Mr. Hendrick?
You have an application request by Telecom 6-B LLC for a special exception permit for proposed 250-foot tall communication tower to be located on partial record number 34958, Mecklenburg County tax number 03600-01-002. This property is located on the west side of Route 660 Old Cox Road, approximately 218 feet south of its intersection with Highway 47. This property is located in Election District 7, Deed Book LR 21-3139, and Wheel Book WF-17-289.
Okay, anyone wishing to speak on behalf of the application? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Mike Heisinger. I'm a project manager for GSS. GSS is located at 3311 109th Street in Urbandale, Iowa. I'm here this evening on behalf of our client TowerCom to address any questions or concerns that you may have in regards to the proposed tower.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I will open the public hearing on this special exemption permit. Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing. This is my district, District 7. I would like to make a motion to approve this. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Next is an application by Melvin Crutchfield for a special exemption permit to construct 2 recreational vehicle sites. This property is identified as county tax number 099-000-A-064. Parcel record number 16437 is zoned as agricultural and is located on the south side of 1521 Virginia Street and approximately a tenth of a mile east of its intersection with 1503 South Carter Street, Election District 3, County of Mecklenburg, reference deed book LR-22-806.
Okay, anyone wishing to speak on behalf of the application? Hearing no one, I will open the public hearing on this application. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Wishes of District 3. Mr. Townless.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll give Mr.
I got motion.
I motion that we receive the accept permit to construct a 2 recreational vehicle site.
Motion been made. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Next is an application by Melvin Crutchfield for a special exemption permit to construct 2 recreational vehicle sites. This property is identified as county tax number 119000-A-039, parcel record number 26901, is zoned agricultural and is located on the south side of Crutchfield Lane, and it is approximately 1/10 of a mile south of its intersection with Golden Eagle Drive, Election District 3, County of Mecklenburg, reference deed book LR-22-806.
Anyone wishing to speak on behalf of the application? Hearing no one, I will open the public hearing for this application. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. District 3.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we receive a special exemption permit to construct 2 recreation vehicle units.
Okay, everyone's heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, the RWE filed an appeal application before you all because the planning commission turned it down. So it's an appeal application by Endless Road Solar LLC, RWE Renewable Americas LLC for comprehensive plan review pursuant to Virginia Code 15.2-2232 of its proposed 490 acres out of 1,616.15 total acres for a 90 megawatt solar energy facility to be located on Mecklenburg County tax parcel numbers 3490, 3513, 3491, 4899, 3492, 3493, and a switch yards and substation to be located on partial record number 5097. These properties are located on the west side of Endless Road, Route 678, approximately 1 mile south of its intersection with Highway 58. These properties are located in the district.
Okay, anyone wishing to speak on behalf of the application, please come state your name.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board and county staff. I'm Dale Mullen, and I represent Antlers Road Solar LLC, RWE Solar Development, and RWE Renewables America. I'm here to respectfully appeal the Planning Commission's April 24, 2025 decision about the Antlers Road Solar Project. This is a project that, in short, has taken years to develop, about $1,300,000 in cost, and stands to benefit the community by bringing significant economic, environmental, and community benefits. I have a couple of things to hand out. I noticed that the Planning Commission packet was not included in the agenda material. May I?
Sure.
Would you like me to approach, or is there some
Oh,
other way?
yeah, you can hand them to Alex. We'll pass them around.
The first, Mr. Chair, honorable members of the board, are 49 letters of support. And I don't know if any of the members of the public who penned those letters showed up tonight to speak, but if they do, I'd like to leave them appropriate time. The second handout is the 2232 approval public hearing packet. It's from April 24, 2025. Thank you. Chair and members of the board, on April 14, 2025, this board unanimously directed that the 3 pending solar projects, including Antlers Road, should be allowed to move forward and complete the zoning process. The board's direct express instruction was that the Antlers Road project under the new zoning ordinance, as well as the other 2, Finney Road, Finney Wood, and Long Road, would be considered to complete the process. The new zoning prohibition that was enacted on that same date was intended to implement changes to the county comprehensive plan, but that was adopted February 10, 2025. That particular plan, the 2024 plan, or 2044 plan, I'll call it tonight, would effectively prohibit and act as a moratorium against utility-scale solar. Under the new comprehensive plan, none of the three projects would be located in an area deemed suitable for utility-scale solar. But under the comprehensive plan that was in existence at the time of the application, it would. Now, I appreciate and I listened very carefully to the board's discussion on April 14, and I wanted to commend you and say thank you for your desire to keep the process fair, to acknowledge the time and the investment that has been made in Mecklenburg County by the applicant. But in doing so, it left a gap in what the Planning Commission had done, and one that I would suggest can be resolved by sending it back to the Planning Commission with the instruction that it be considered under the prior comprehensive plan. Now, this board will have plenty of opportunity to review the special exception permit, plenty of opportunity to engage in the process, but that's the only way to carry out what the board directed it wanted to be done in April 2025. The Planning Commission reviewed the project under the new plan and not the prior plan, which would not allow it to proceed forward in the process. This is not just a matter of procedural error, it is a matter of fairness, consistency, respect for law, and for the board's legislative authority. I respectfully offer that equal protection and equal treatment requires consistency with other projects. The board's intent was to treat Antlers Road, Finneywood, and Seven Bridges Solar equally. While all three projects were at different states of review at the time they were grandfathered, all three were still required to comply with the county comprehensive plan, even to get through the zoning process. The Antlers Road project required a determination that the project was, according to Virginia Code 2232, in substantial accord, and that's by location and general characteristic. Long Road's Seven Bridges project required a special exception permit that could only be granted upon a recommendation by the Planning Commission that the proposed utility-scale solar would be not in conflict with the purposes of the county code. And I respectfully say that's how we know that the Seven Bridges project was considered under the prior comprehensive plan. On March 27, 2025, the Planning Commission voted 7-5 to recommend the Seven Bridges special exception permit to the Board of Supervisors for approval. In order for this recommendation to be made, the Planning Commission must necessarily have applied the former comprehensive plan, or the application could never have proceeded. Under the 2044 comprehensive plan, the Seven Bridges project is inconsistent with the plan for the same reasons that the Planning Commission found that the Antlers Road project would be inconsistent. The special exception permit for Long Road was evaluated and grandfathered under the prior plan, and it was allowed to proceed. To deny Antlers Road the same treatment would be arbitrary, inconsistent, and would undermine the principles of equal protection and fair process. About substantial accord with the prior comprehensive plan, the Antlers Road solar project has been designed to meet and exceed the siting criteria of the comprehensive plan when it existed at the time the application was made. The project's footprint is under 500 acres, with extensive buffers and undisturbed areas. It is not within 2 miles of another utility-scale solar facility. The site is outside of any scenic, cultural, or recreational viewshed, and is already adjacent to existing transmission lines. It is more than 1.5 miles from Boydton town limits and outside of any growth boundaries. The project was specifically designed to avoid significant impact to prime farmland, has increased its setbacks on its second application, its amended application from Mines Creek to 300 feet to address previous concerns that were raised. The amended application submitted by Antlers Road directly responded to every issue raised in the original review, and that does two things. Number one, it let us know what was expected of us as a project. Number two, it gave RWE and Antlers Road the chance to conform to what the county required, and changes were made to the amended plan. It also demonstrated RWE and Antlers Road's commitment to be a good neighbor and a responsible steward of the land that would be under its control. There's some legal concerns specifically that I'd like to get on the record. Please bear with me, and if you have questions, stop me at any time. The 2044 Comprehensive Plan is an effective ban on utility-scale solar in rural conservation areas. I argue respectfully that Virginia law and public policy favor the development of renewable energy, prohibit localities from enacting de facto moratoria, and I believe that the county attorney opined some time ago when the county was considering such a ban that an action would be contrary to state law if it did that thing. The denial of RWE's 2232 application is effectively the carrying out of a ban against utility-scale solar. The action generally, but the board need not reach this decision, in this specific instance, can be rectified at this stage with the 2232, too many numbers, with the 2232 application by doing one of two things. Either one, overruling the Planning Commission and finding it's within your power to be within the ambit of Virginia Code 15.2, 2232, or number two, send it back to the Planning Commission, put the Planning Commission on notice, and I myself have worked in county, state, federal, local government, and related fields for the last 30 years. It's my belief they simply didn't know. They simply didn't understand that the board had directed in April for all three plans to be considered to complete the process. The other projects that were approved did and were approved under the old comprehensive plan. And this is just for the 2232. But referring it back to the Planning Commission with the instruction to consider it under the former comprehensive plan is fair, it's efficient, it's economical, and it at least keeps the playing field even in the way that the County Board of Supervisors directed in its meeting on the topic. The remaining reasons, aside from the categorical exclusion with the new plan, the other reasons cited for denial, like water quality, soil compaction, construction traffic, are either speculative or for which there was no evidence before the Planning Commission, but they can be fully addressed through state regulations and the special exception process. This project, like all projects of its kind, the development of utility-scale solar, and in fact any utility-scale power project at all, are subject to very stringent federal, state, and local regulation, even beyond 2232. There has been overwhelming community support. You have 49 letters of support from a broad cross-section of the community, residents, landowners, business stakeholders. They cite real reasons: economic growth, job creation, tax revenue, clean energy, and the protection of property rights. Remember, this particular ground that is proposed was not and is not currently intended to be used for agriculture. If it were, it can return to agriculture after the useful life of the project, but for now, it is taking ground that would otherwise not be utilized for any purpose and utilizing it instead to drive economic development, growth, job creation, and construction in Mecklenburg County. The retroactive application of the 2044 Comprehensive Plan conflicts with Virginia law and public policy. Again, I will say, I have watched very carefully and commend you for your desire to keep it fair and to allow all three projects to complete the process. The Board of Supervisors on April 14 unanimously voted to grandfather all pending solar projects, and that's three: Antlers Road, Long Road, and Fennywood, under which would necessarily mean under the prior comprehensive plan. The legislative action was intended to ensure fairness and consistency for the applicants who had already invested substantial time, effort, and capital into these projects. The board's action was clear. New restrictions in the zoning ordinance adopted to implement the new criteria of the 2044 Comprehensive Plan could not be applied retroactively to projects already in process.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you there. The time we usually give 10 minutes to the
I
applicant.
thought I might run over it. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I have to do that, but that's the rules of the rules.
So shall I stop, or would you like me to conclude?
Stop.
Okay. I have a letter that has been on file, the
Okay.
appeal, and I respectfully submit these arguments as well as the letter and the handouts that I've included. Thank you very much for your indulgence.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Here for any questions.
Any members have any questions for the applicant?
I know one of the things that he mentioned several times was, well, I think he mentioned overwhelming community support. And so do you actually go in the community where this is being built and talk to those people?
Yes, sir, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Natalie Gerber, RWE. Yes, we do go into the community.
Okay.
And
'Cause I just, and I know you handed out these, and it says 49 letters in support, and I just thumbed through them, and not one of them live in that community.
I believe there's 6 that are in Boynton.
In Boynton?
Yeah.
A majority of them in Chase City, Clarksville, South Hill, and stuff in the town of Boynton, I think. But I didn't see anything that's in that community of these 49 letters. And I know that's important, so, I mean, I was just concerned about the community support, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I will now open the public hearing on this application. Anyone, Alex, you got some?
We do have several who are signed up to speak. If you are not signed up, then at the end, please come on up if you would like to comment at that point in time. But we'll proceed first through the list as they are signed up. And so the first name we have is Dave Wilden.
Good evening. My name's Dave Wilden. I live in Mecklenburg County since 1984.
Oh,
I live at 3999 Antlers Road in Boynton. And I just went through this stuff in late 22 and 23 with the solar farm thing. That time was going to be right behind my house. This time it's on the other side of the power line, about 300 yards from my house. I don't want a solar farm behind or anywhere near on Antlers Road. I just don't. It's between Microsoft, building everywhere. The wildlife is going on decline. I used to see 3 or 4 deer in my yard all the time. I've seen one in the last 3 months, one. Turkeys the same way. So the land for the wildlife is getting cut off. So anyway, place they want to put the solar farm has a lot of tributary that all go into Allen's Creek. Allen Creek dumps into the river that feeds Lake Gaston. So if there's any runoff from these holding ponds or anything else, that's where it's going to end up, Lake Gaston. I don't know if any of you live there or have friends there, but they're going to end up with the whole problem sooner or later. There's been a couple sites, I don't know, is this company or not, over in Chase City on 49. Half of that don't work. There's one on Spanish Grove Road, same problem. They had a leak over there. They leaked it all the way down to Clarksville. I understand that they do put this thing in. They want to put 600 goats in there to keep the grass down. Well, that's a lot of waste. Where all that's going to go to? You know, it's going to get in the watershed and go in these tributaries, and it's going to, like I say, end up down in the lake. So I just want to mention this thing on the Planning Commission thing. They had 48 or 49 letters in favor of the solar farm on Antlers Road. To my knowledge, none of them on Antlers Road has sent a letter saying they approve it. Most of that come from, like you said, Chase City, South Hill, and Clarksville. Why don't they put it back in their backyards, not mine? The solar farm is going to produce $222,000 a year for Mecklenburg County. And it says it's gonna be 114 jobs to put it up and 4 after the site is established. But I just wanna put a little thing on here. Microsoft in 23 paid Mecklenburg County $23 million on personal property tax. That's $23,222,000, just a drop in a bucket.
I'm going to have to stop you now. The 3 minutes
Okay.
is up. So I do want to remind everybody, if you got 3 minutes to speak, and we stick pretty strictly to that timeline. Anyone else?
Yeah. Next speaker is Gwen Walden.
I'm Gwen Wilden, and I live at 3999 Antlers Road. I want to read a article that was in the Viewpoint section of the newspaper on April 23rd. I know it's not regarding this particular solar farm, but to me it was very interesting and eye-opening. Love thy neighbor or silence thy neighbor. There have been some interesting revelations that have come to light in the ongoing battle over solar in Mecklenburg County. A good neighbor agreement has been circulated by the Seven Bridges LLC, also known as Long Road Energy, which is developing an 80 milliwatt solar facility at Scotts Cross Road, an area outside of Chase City and bordering the Meharon River. This 40-year agreement proposes payment to neighbors in the vicinity of the project in exchange for agreeing to give up many of their rights, including discharging the developers from and against any and all complaints, claims, liabilities, damages, cause of actions, suits, costs, losses, and expenses of any nature whatsoever relating to the location, construction, and development of the project. Once signed, the parties agree to keep the contents of the agreement, including payment, strictly confidential. Besides the obvious red flags here, this looks like a blatant attempt to manipulate the vetoes of the manipulate the votes of the elected county officials. Example, nobody's voicing any opinion against it, so, guess it's okay. Of course, the answer to that comment is people are being paid to not speak against the project. Other concerns are the failings of the Foxhound project in Halifax County, designed and built by Long Road Energy, with its 56 failed holding ponds and multiple erosion issues. Documented evidence of solar panels from the Foxhound project were illegally dumped and burned at several locations in Charlotte County. And when they were caught, they proceeded to discard the remaining panels into the ground as quickly as possible. I did a little research. There's also in Campbell County, in Rustburg, there's a gentleman up there that has a pond that a solar farm is close to. It has turned his pond into an orange mud pit. Also in Powhatan County, there's Lake Shawnee. It's got the same problem. And if that's what you want to do to Lake Gaston, go ahead and let it go through. But if you've got those 49 letters for it, put it in their backyard, not ours. We don't want it in Boynton, in our neighborhood anyway. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Betty Upton.
Good evening. My name is Betty Upton, and I live at 2336 Antlers Road and own property at 2749 Antlers Road, which is property that this Antlers Road solar project would be buttoned up against. My grandson lives on this property, and he has 2 small children. I farm and have cattle that drinks out of the creeks that run through this proposed solar site onto my farm. The solar panels are full of toxins which leak into the soil and water, which could filter down for my cattle to drink. I can't afford dead cattle or cattle that maybe abort their calves or even have deformed calves because we don't know what these toxins can do to animals. Solar farms affect our wildlife through their food supply and their habitat loss. Solar farms contribute to dust runoff issues due to construction and operation, potentially impacting water quality and soil erosion. When solar farms come into the land, they strip the land. They cut all the trees regardless of whether they're ready to be cut or not. And then they scrape off all the topsoil, which leads to severe erosion. The land is no more useful. When solar farms are near your property, the value of your land goes down. Also, when solar panels are no longer working or the solar farm leaves, the landowner is responsible for the cleanup. I was born and raised in Mecklenburg County, and I chose to stay here because it was my home, and I enjoyed the quiet country life. Now my way of life is being threatened by solar farms and Microsoft. If I wanted all of the construction, the noise, the dust, the heavy traffic, and bright lights, I'd have moved to the city. But that wasn't the life that I wanted. I am frightened for the health of my family, myself, and my cattle because there's not enough known about how these solar farms, living near these solar farms, can affect people or animals. As Dave touched on a little bit, these creeks run into Allen's Creek. Allen's Creek runs into the Roanoke River, which is Lake Gaston. But it doesn't stop there. Lake Gaston supplies water to Roanoke Rapids. It affects your marine life, affects people who drink this water. It affects the animals who drink this water. But it doesn't stop there. There's also a pipeline that runs from Lake Gaston to Virginia Beach. There are millions and millions of people that are affected by this.
Ms. Upton, I'm going to have to stop you right there.
Thank you.
Next signed up speaker is Robert Van Dyke.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Robert Van Dyke. I live at 3693 Antlers Road in Boyton. Me and my wife, we bought this house in 2009. Took us about 18 months to find our little spot in heaven, we called it. There's two things that we looked for was our neighbors, ag land, and the wildlife. On that point, only two things I ever known in Mecklenburg County being raised up was ag and construction. And that's what I do now, is construction. And I know about the solar panels and inverters and noise and stuff like that. And not only was going to be the solar panel behind my house, within 200 feet of my property line, the substation is going to be in my front door, across the street in front of me. Ladies and gentlemen, that saving ag land is, I've been doing FFA all my life. I graduated in 86 at Parkview Senior High. I had VICA Vocational Clubs of America. We've done it all. I donate to FFA. If there's something going on with FFA, Virginia Tech, I'm there. I got a 2-acre garden I farm. I take care of. And this way of life of messing with wildlife, destroying the creeks, going to the lakes. I got several people in Maryland that come from Maryland, Pennsylvania down here that I talk to constantly, and they love this piece. They said, Robert, you got the best Mecklenburg County. The people are so nice. They love the lake. You know, we come to the board to find out to keep this as a no. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker signed up is Penny Lax.
My name is Penny Lax. I own the property at 3823 Antlers Road. and I'm against this project. I don't like them. They are really disgusting looking, and they ruin the land. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker signed up is Lindsay Dunn.
On the property of 3823 Antlers Road, and I'm against this for the animals and the wildlife. It's very destructive to the land, and we don't need it. We got electricity for all this. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker signed up is Curtis Hensel.
Hey, good evening. My name is Curtis Hensel. I work for Roseburg, one of the landowners involved in this project, and I'm the real estate manager. I coordinate land acquisitions, dispositions, and solar projects, and we support this project based upon the best practice that are going to be in place. They include extensive buffers, pollinator-friendly ground cover, and also a long-term management plan. It's also the right time and the right approach. This will be a long-term lease. The proceeds from the lease will allow Roseburg to invest in timberland operations across Virginia, as well as North Carolina. And also our plan is to return the land back into timberland at the end of the lease. So all in all, this is a good project. It's the right place. There are 2 transmission lines already in place. It's really a great spot for this part of the county. Thank you.
The last speaker that is signed up is Bill Coleman.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm a lifelong resident of Mecklenburg County and adjoining landowner to this property. I would first like to thank the county for placing a moratorium on future solar farms. Unfortunately, Antlers Road and 2 other projects were already in the pipeline. Thank you for giving us another opportunity to express our opposition. This property is located a little over a mile from where we're sitting tonight. It is one of the largest timber tracts in the area, excluding the property owned by the Corps of Engineers. It is known to the locals as the Big Woods or the Gold Mine Tract. I strongly oppose this project for several reasons. Following through this project are 3 creeks, namely Mine Creek, Coleman Creek, and Allen's Creek. Allen's Creek is the largest or longest creek in Mecklenburg County and is very close to meeting the designation of a river, according to sources. Allen's Creek flows into Lake Gaston between the dam and the Roanoke River Service Authority water intake. Would sediment from excavation enter these creeks and travel into Lake Gaston watershed be problematic? This property has historic significance to this county. In the late 1980s, Dr. Shelton Short had the Department of Natural Resources and Forestry Department come to Borden for a special ceremony, designating areas of this property as special places in the forest due to numerous gold silver mines from the mid-1800s. Mecklenburg County is one of the most prosperous counties in Southside Virginia, where solar farm proponents seem to be praying. We're prosperous for many reasons due to governance, economic development, 2 beautiful lakes, and a tranquil, beautiful countryside. Our recreation and tourism opportunities are growing leaps and bounds. Because of these positive characteristics of the county, we're having many people moving in, causing a housing boom. There was 30 building permits in this county in the month of March. And an escalation in our real estate values, consequently, the tax base for this county has drastically increased over the last 5 years. Why do we need solar farms in this county to hurt the positive things we have going on? Destroying the productive scenic land. They will destroy development around them and lower the land value of the adjoining landowners. No one wants a solar farm in close proximity to their property, including the proponents of the solar farm. Construction of these solar farms enrich a few and hurt everyone else. The parent company of this developer is a German company with LLCs in the U.S. Their interest in Mecklenburg County is solely a personal financial. Up to $24 million in government.
Mr. Coleman, I'm going to have to stop you right there. 3 minutes. 3 minutes is up.
Is there anybody else in the room tonight who wishes to add public comment to this matter? If so, please proceed to the podium. This is the last opportunity to speak. All right.
Okay. At this time, we will close the public hearing. This is my district, so I will read my motion. Whereas by a vote of 11-1 on April the 24th, 2025, the Mecklenburg County Planning Commission made its decision pursuant to Virginia Code Section 15.2-2232 that the project proposed by Antlers Road Solar, LLC, is not in sustainable accord with the Mecklenburg County Comprehensive Plan. Whereas the applicant appealed that decision by the Planning Commission and a duly advertised public hearing was conducted by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors prior to consideration of this resolution. It is accordingly hereby resolved as follows. After consideration of the decision made by the Planning Commission, after consideration of the reasons stated by the Planning Commission in support of its decision, after consideration of the comments and information provided at the Board's public hearing, and after consideration of additional information deemed by the Board to be relevant, the Board declines to exercise the right afforded to it by the Virginia Code Section 15.2-2232 to overrule the planning decision of the Commission. And accordingly, the Planning Commission decision on April the 24th, 2025 is not overruled for the following reasons. The project is not in sustainable compliance with the comprehensive plan, and as solar facilities are designated as non-appropriate in rural and rural conservation areas. The rural conservation area included in the adopted comprehensive plan incorporates areas that coincide with the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation's highest priority forest lands and areas identified as ecological cores, which consist of large patches of natural land with at least 100 acres of interior cover. Properties included in this application are on the Natural Land Network score very high. On the ecological core map are generally averaged to outstanding on the forest conservation values. Have the highest impact of scores on the watershed impact model accordingly due to the impacts on this critical areas. The project is not in substantial compliance with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan sets out a goal to encourage small-scale or community-scale solar facilities. This application is not defined as small-scale or community-scale solar facilities and is therefore not in compliance with the county's solar facility goals or its vision as a rural place. Mines Creek is located on the property, which leads to Allen's Creek, and the site borders Kettle Creek and Coleman Creek, which both drain into Allen's Creek. Allen's Creek leads into the Roanoke River. The Roanoke River minor basin, which includes Mecklenburg County, is a critical water resource of the Commonwealth of Virginia and is included in the Virginia State Water Resource Plan. Our goal of the Rural Conservation District is protecting areas of the highest conservation values, especially those adjacent to the county's lakes, rivers, and streams. By concentrating conservation efforts in these areas, the county can make the biggest impact towards protecting its waterways and natural resources. Accordingly, development here does not align with the comprehensive plan's established goal to protect and restore forestal areas, wildlife habitats, and drinking water resources. This is illustrated by the property's high score on the watershed impact model, which are areas where the goal is to maintain or to improve water quality and/or adequate ecological integrity. The model is designed to identify lands where activities are likely to have the greatest impact on aquatic resources areas and areas closer to a healthy water site or more important than those farther away. Allen, Mines, and Kettle Creeks on the properties identified in this application are less than 10 miles from the Roanoke River, and Allen Creek directly drains into the Roanoke and also contributes to a federal wildlife management area. To further demonstrate this proposal's noncompliance with the adopted comprehensive plan in effect, as of the time of this hearing, Coleman Creek is currently designated as a public water supply for the town of Boyton. The project will negatively impact those environmental concerns, and no mitigation measures provided by the applicant sufficiently address these concerns. The first element that affects water quality on solar facilities is soil compaction. There is potential soil compaction from heavy machinery required to install the panels and maintain the surrounding vegetation. This compaction can negatively impact infiltration rates, reducing the heavy machinery on site or tilling the soil afterward ensures the stormwater can infiltrate the soil. Vegetation itself is another element in improving water quality. Like all stormwater best management practices, vegetation is essential to improving water quality. Plants absorb many pollutants like nitrogen for their growth. As the stormwater hits the panels and drains, it is concentrated and can potentially have energy 10 times greater than typical rainfall, significantly impacting the ground below. In the event that the vegetation on these facilities fails, stormwater will erode the land, causing sediment and pollutants to continue downstream. The project will utilize approximately 490 acres of prime farmland of statewide importance to develop the facility. This contrasts with the preservation goals of the Rural Conservation Designation. The construction of the project will increase construction traffic on Antlers Road, which is a secondary road within the VDOT road system. Evidence has not been supplied that the road bed can endure and withstand the net impact of the additional heavyweight load that would be placed upon it. Ensuring that developers improve county streets and mitigate impacts associated with construction and post-construction activities to ensure that the county streets can safely accommodate the increased traffic volume, heavier vehicles resulting from development, is an action item set out in the adopted comprehensive plan in effect as of the time of this hearing towards the goal of improved safety of the county's streets and highways. The applicant's proposal does not set out how the increase in additional temporary workforce will be housed. Given that the county already has a deficit of housing supply, a temporary workforce is likely to rent from the existing portfolio of housing. This would likely exacerbate problems within the housing situation in the county. In contrast, the goal of the comprehensive plan is to expand the supply of housing available for the county. I would like to ask my board members for any comment.
They covered everything.
I don't know how it didn't. A yes vote on this motion that I just made is in support of the Planning Commission's 11-1 vote. In support of the Planning Commission's, against.
It's a roll call.
Yes, have a roll call. Jenny?
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. Hargrove?
Yes.
Mrs. Lundy.
Yes.
Mr. Brinkley?
Yes.
Mrs. Blackwell?
Yes.
Mr. Gravitt?
Yes.
Mr. Spence?
Yes.
The vote's unanimous. The motion carries. Everybody's more than welcome to stay. Anybody that would like to leave, we'll take 1 minute for people that would like to leave to go ahead and leave. But like I said, you're welcome to stay.
Alex, one thing I was going to ask, do we have any data on how much power the hydroelectric dam was produced in the 70-some years it's been in existence?
I know what their annual, or I know what they're rated at. I don't know about the aggregate over time, but I know what they're.
70-some years. We should probably gather that data and hopefully we can assess some sort of number or figure to this county in our journey for renewable energy. And I'm sure that we supersede every county probably in the state. And I feel like that we should submit that on file probably to the state level. I mean, we, on our journey to renewable energy, we're probably well over the bar in this county.
That's a good point. Very good. Yeah.
So I think that's something that we overlook a lot. The second thing is that we overlook is I believe that, you know, as far as the forestry land in this county goes and across the globe, you know, agriculture is considered forest lands are considered agriculture.
Absolutely.
And we overlook that sometimes. So that's all I have to say. I could read that resolution.
All right, moving on to our next agenda item. Mr. Hargrove, you got a resolution you need to present.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. May I ask Ms. Simmons to come forward, please? Resolution. Resolution honoring Donna Simmons for 30 years of dedicated service to Mecklenburg County Emergency Services. Whereas Donna Simmons began her remarkable career with Mecklenburg County Emergency Communications in November 1995, playing a key role in the implementation of a new addressing system that helped modernize and enhance the county 911 services. Whereas Donna was one of the first 911 dispatchers to serve in a newly open 911 center on April 16, 1995, setting the standard for excellence, commitment, professionalism, and a time of growth and change. Whereas, over the course of her distinguished 30-year career, Donna has served as a leader, mentor, and role model to generations of emergency communication professionals, embodying the values of kindness, generosity, and the tireless work ethics. Whereas Donna has consistently demonstrated an unwavering dedication to public service, adapting to evolving technologies, complex systems, and diverse personalities with grace, humility, and pride, always offering support to her colleagues and first responders alike. Whereas, as longtime supervisor, Donna has helped shape the culture of 911 Center, fostering the development of those who follow in her footsteps and inspiring all those who had the privilege to work alongside her. And whereas her services and contributions have left a lasting impact on the department and greater Mecklenburg County community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors and the staff of Mecklenburg County extend to their heartfelt appreciation and deep gratitude to Donna Simmons for her 30 years of extraordinary services and recognize her legacy of leadership, compassion, and excellence. Be it therefore resolved that this resolution is to be entered into official records and that Donna is commended for a lifetime of commitment to the safety and well-being of the citizens of Mecklenburg County, adopted this day, the 9th day of June, 2025.
Ms. Harder. Ms. Lundy, I believe you're doing the property committee report tonight.
Yes. A meeting of the Property Committee held in and for the County of Mecklenburg on May the 19th, 2025 at 1:15 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room of the Good Bank Building. The meeting was called to order by Chairman Wilkerson. Members present: Sterling Wilkerson, Chair; Andy Hargrove, David Brinkley, Claudia Lundy, and Dennis Spence. Also present: Jim Jennings, Tom Tanner, Kurt Gravitt, Dr. Scott Warmer, Brian Dalton, Wayne Carter, Sam Carroll, Russell Slayton, Alice Gouchow, Judy Sheffield, Jenny Whitmore. C, closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711, A3 of the Code of Virginia, discussed or consideration of the acquisition of real property. Upon motion of Andy Hargrove, the board voted unanimously to approve C, closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711, A3 of the Code of Virginia. Discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose, or of the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. Sterling Wilkerson, Claudia Lundy, David Brinkley, Andy Hargroves, Dennis Spence voted aye. D, open session. Upon motion of Claudia Lundy, the board voted unanimously to reconvene in open session. Sterling Wilkerson, Claudia Lundy, David Brinkley, Andy Hargroves, Dennis Spence voted aye. E, adoption certification resolution. Upon motion of Andy Hargroves, the board voted unanimously to approve E, certification resolution. Sterling Wilkerson, Claudia Lundy, David Brinkley, Andy Hargroves, Dennis Spence voted aye. Certification of closed session. Whereas the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors convened a closed session on this day pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia require a certification by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matter lawfully exempted from open meeting required by Virginia law was discussed in closed session, to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed session was heard, discussed, or considered by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned. No action need to be taken on this. No action need to be taken.
Thank you, Ms. Lundy. And Ms. Blackwell, Personnel Committee.
A meeting of the Personnel Committee was held in and for the County of Mecklenburg on May 21, 2025 at 5:00 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room of the Good Bank Building. The meeting was called to order by Chair Blackwell. Members present: Brenda Blackwell, Chair; Sterling Wilkinson, Tom Tanner. Also present: Andy Hargrove, David Brinkley, Robert Hendrick, Alex Gottschalk, Judy Sheffield. C, closed session. 2.2-3711. Closed meetings authorized for certain limited purposes. Upon motion of Tom Tanner, the board voted unanimously to convene closed session pursuant to 2.2-3711, A1 of the Code of Virginia, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body. Brenda Blackwell, Sterling Wilkinson, Tom Tanner voted aye. D, open session. Upon motion of Sterling Wilkinson, the board voted unanimously to reconvene in open session. Brenda Blackwell, Sterling Wilkinson, Tom Tanner voted aye. E, adopt certification resolution. Upon motion of Tom Tanner, the board voted unanimously to adopt the following certification resolution. Brenda Blackwell, Sterling Wilkinson, Tom Tanner voted aye. Certification of closed session. Whereas the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed session to which this certification resolution applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors. Upon the motion of Sterling Wilkinson, the committee voted unanimously to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the board appoint Josh Tanner as a Mecklenburg County zoning administrator effective July 1, 2025. I'll pause at this point. On behalf of the Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Supervisors appoint Josh Tanner as a Mecklenburg County zoning administrator effective July 1, 2025.
Okay. Everyone's heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion carries.
Brenda Blackwell, Sterling Wilkinson, Tom Tanner voted aye. Additionally, although not eligible to vote, David Brankley and Andy Hargrove indicated their support for this action. During such period as Robert Hendrick remains an active employee of Mecklenburg County, Mr. Hendrick shall have final authority as the zoning administrator pursuant to such powers vested in said position by Chapter 22 of Title 15.2 of the Code of Virginia, 15.2-2200, and by the Mecklenburg County Zoning and Subdivision Ordinances. Upon motion of Tom Tanner, the committee voted unanimously to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the board authorize the creation of a new position for the clerk of the circuit court pursuant to the provisions of paragraph 0.1 of item 65 of chapter 725 of the 2025 Virginia Acts of Assembly, effective July 1, 2025, and accept funds from the Compensation Board of the Commonwealth of Virginia to support payroll costs for this newly authorized position. I will pause. On behalf of the Personnel Committee, I move that the board authorize the creation of a new position for the clerk of the circuit court.
Okay. Everyone's heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries.
Brenda Blackwell, Sterling Wilkinson, Tom Tanner voted aye. Additionally, although not eligible to vote, David Brankley and Andy Hargrove indicated their support for this action. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Blackwell. Mr. Brankley, I believe you do an economic development.
Yes, sir. The Economic Development Committee met on Monday, June 9th, 2025 at 5:15 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room, Borden, Virginia. Members present, David Brinkley, Dennis Spence. Others present, Jim Jennings, Andy Hargrove, Kirk Gravitt, Brenda Blackwell, Claudia London, Alex Gotcha, County Administrator, Angie Keller, Economic Development Director, Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator, and Jenny Whittemore, Clerk. David Brinkley called the meeting to order. Mr. Gotcha reviewed the bid received for the Highway 92 intersection improvement project. The lowest bid was received from Hayman's Brothers Incorporated at a cost of $2,739,777. Upon a motion of Mr. Spence, the committee voted unanimously to recommend accepting of the bid from Haynes Brothers Incorporated at a cost of $2,739,777 for the Highway 92 intersection improvement project. Supervisors David Brinkley and Dennis Spitz voted A. So I would like to put that on the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Everyone's heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Next, committee discussed Chase City investment options. Mr. Gotcha discussed sources available generated by current solar projects and presented several investment options. The committee directed Mr. Gotcha to work with Town of Chase City officials to move forward. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned.
Okay. VDOT, Tommy, I assume you're going to.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. You have our monthly maintenance report in your packet. Just a couple of updates on that. The pipe replacement project on Route 733, MT Hayes Road, that was discussed at the last meeting, was completed on time without any issues. I know mowing is a hot topic, so just give you the latest information on that. It is ongoing, primary and secondary. The primary mowing countywide is 94% complete. Should be wrapped up by the middle of the week, no later than the end of the week, weather permitting. That's countywide primary. The secondary mowing is ongoing, and that is a little behind. It's 33% complete now, but should be all complete by the first week in July. But our contractors are working on it, just breaking down quickly. The Burnt Store area is 60% complete, and Chase City is 40%, and the Clarksville contractor will start today. So the rest of the work on here is regular routine maintenance. You know, we had quite a few storms here lately, so we've been doing storm repairs and so forth. That's all I had, unless you had any questions.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
I see the roundabout in Southfield gets a lot of attention. Is that that going to happen?
Well, Mr. Brinkley, are you speaking about the intersection improvements at Country Lane?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's not a roundabout. I mean, it's not a roundabout at Country Lane. If that's what you're speaking of, the one we just had the public hearing the last weekend in May. You know, that's intersection improvements. It's not a roundabout. It's changing the phases, some of the signal phases. It's doing away with the ramp that comes off of 85 and runs right in front of the old hotel.
Okay.
You know, all the traffic will come straight up to 58, and it'll be a continuous right. You know, you just continue right. If you're going into town, you move right on around. The biggest thing that we heard from the trucking industry, they were concerned about going through the intersection and making a U-turn at the loom and coming back. But nothing's final. The day was the deadline for the comments, you know, 11 days after. So being that it fell on a Sunday, June the 9th. So all comments were due. It was about 12 to 15 people at the public hearing. It was very lively, but that's why we were there. The whole project team was there, you know, from the district and the consultants.
So when would that project potentially be built?
Probably 26.
26, okay.
I mean, and there may be some more changes too.
Right.
It's a project page out there. If you go to our website, and look, there's a project page for that with some information on it. And if you got any more, just give me a shout. We got the information at our office. We got the blow-ups and the displays. If you want us to give you a session,
Okay.
we'll be glad to. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you have done quite a bit on 654 and Ridge Road where they connect there at Bull Road Church.
Uh-huh.
So you have done quite a lot, all the signs you have put up and all the markings. Last year you cut the bushes in that curb before you get to the cemetery.
Yes, ma'am.
On that fence. You need to cut them again because you can't see around it.
Okay.
But everything else looks great.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. And I believe we did some spraying too, and we need to
Yeah.
we need to hit that again.
It's a kind of a little dangerous area.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to go back to what Mr. Brinkley mentioned about the improvements there on Highway 58. Appreciate the fact that VDOT has the public hearings and so forth. That's very much needed. I think David probably brought it up because, like myself, we hear a lot about this kind of thing, especially after it gets advertised in the local paper. My question is, do the citizens' comments and concerns and opinions that are brought to VDOT really make any difference at the VDOT level? I know that state government is a whole nother big animal to deal with.
Well, yes, sir. I mean, that's why we have the public hearing, to get other people's opinion and so forth and get the citizens' comments. Right. They were listening. I mean, I told you it was probably 12 to 15 citizens, and our staff was probably about 10. And I mean, we had consultants and the project manager and all. And they were talking and bringing up stuff, and we had, they could leave comments there, or they could email them or whatever. I would be glad to share, if I can, the comments once I get them. They were going to send us the comments received because we're interested in, the comments.
Does it?
And they will reevaluate the whole thing, look at it. Mm-hmm. And to answer your question, some people said it's a done deal. I don't know why I'm here. And they said, no, it's not a done deal. That's why we're doing public hearings and getting information and getting feedback.
But does it, 90% of it or 95% of it boil down to engineering specifications for that given area, though, doesn't it, Tom?
Well, yeah, engineering and safety and improving the traffic flow, comes into it. That's a big plate. And it's all part of y'all. You three gentlemen have been here the longest, so and I don't know about the rest of the board members, whether they're familiar with the Route 58 Arterial Preservation Plan. But y'all adopted that along with some of the other jurisdictions, and this was all part of that. I mean, this was the recommendation from that. The town of South Hill, made a small scale application, and that's where we are. It was 3 or 4 intersections through town, and this was the one they chose, to expand on and see if they could improve, because that's where a lot of concerns about traffic flow. And we did a lot of calls about traffic flow because people are sitting waiting for the lights to change, so that some of the cycles are going to be done away with the turns that I mentioned. So it will increase the flow. It'll keep people moving. Hopefully, it's the way it's designed. But a lot of it goes, to the people behind the wheel too.
Yeah.
So I'll just comment. One other comment. So the people I'm hearing from, my district comes to that intersection.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, and so I have the east and north side of that intersection. So the comments that I got, or conversations that people had with me, was going westbound, the part that you described about going up and making the U-turn. That seemed to be of the most concern. People commented that, so I want to go to Cracker Barrel. So that several of these folks were 60 years old and older that's talking to me, and they're describing that I want to go to Cracker Barrel to my left, but I've got to go continue down 58 through the intersection and make a turn and come back to get to the Cracker Barrel. That's the kind of,
Yeah.
you know, that's
And,
the kind
and
of
that
stuff.
was brought up a lot. I mean, but it was, I heard that a number of times.
Yeah.
You know, and they said, we'll look at it, you know, put your comments in writing.
Yeah.
Or speak to the court reporter and get it on record, because that's
Of
what
course,
we need.
the kind of things that I try to say to people is, you know, think about how many accidents have happened today.
Correct. They look at that.
Especially with the left turn. And so, because my understanding is that that's certainly a big factor, is how many.
And this is going to reduce the conflict points. You know, it's going to reduce them. I don't remember the number, but we got it on the visual. If you want to stop by our office, we'd be glad, or we can bring it up here sometime and share it if y'all want to.
I just wanted to reiterate that, you know, that the public, I think they're more concerned than just the 12 folks that came out.
Yeah. Well, anytime we have change, sir, I mean, we have, you know, anytime you have change. But we're doing our best to communicate, and we're just trying to improve the traffic flow and reduce accidents. I mean, there's accidents out there all the time. As I was coming up here tonight, you know, I came through there and I saw a lot of debris where somebody had a boo-boo here recently. There was a lot of debris there. So, but if you know, if you want additional info, swing by.
Speaking of that debris, is that the tow people that's responsible for picking that up?
Yes, sir.
Why do they leave it sometimes? You see accident scenes, you got a bumper laying out there.
They just get in a hurry, and sometimes they say they don't have a broom, or they don't have a trash bag, or they don't have this, and then somebody else has to get it up. I mean, we clean a lot of it up.
Yeah, I know you do. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you got the Ridge Road bypass fully functional.
Well, we appreciate the county's support on that. I mean, you know, yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, on Mill Creek Road, where I live at, from the pavement to the side where the ditch is, when you go on the curb, because traffic has increased over the last several years because people are building. And so when you try to pass at the same time with another car in the mailbox is in the road, so you run off the road, and then it's about a 3-inch or 4-inch drop. And I was wondering if you guys could come in and pour some gravels on that drop so it won't be so far, too much damage on your vehicle when you're trying to pass.
And that's on your road, sir?
Yes, sir, Mill Creek Road.
Yeah, right on the shoulder.
Yes, sir.
I got you. Anything else?
Thanks. Just let Kevin know we worked you over pretty
Well, if y'all don't have anything else, I just want to close in saying that I have enjoyed working with each and every one of you. I've worked with these three guys the most since 2012. But I'm going to be checking out on July 1st. I'm going to hang it up after 47 years. So I'll be getting with the county administrator here with the replacement within a few days, so it'll be a very smooth transition. But I appreciate everything. I enjoyed working with everybody. It's been a pleasure. But anyway, I would be getting with Alex.
There wasn't a lot of notice.
Well,
Tommy, we couldn't ask anybody.
Well, I don't want it to be about me. I mean, I knew I was leaving, but I waited until the last minute. And
Brother, do appreciate what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. It's been a joy working with you. I've worked with those three the longest.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly enjoyed working with you, Tommy, and all. I tell you, I almost hated to give up the 6-year
I know.
thing.
You
Secondary road.
You passed it.
David, hold on. Let me get my boots on here.
You passed it right along.
But you've always been good and been open, and like I said, talking about coming by the office or something, you've been more than open any time I needed anything. And I really enjoyed working with you.
I enjoyed it, and y'all will be fine. You'll be fine, but I'll be getting with the county administrator.
Sorry, you got to go back to Brunswick.
Well, I got 2 more meetings. I got Lunenburg Thursday night and Brunswick next week. and then I won't have any more meetings. So Mr. Slayton was just picking me at the last meeting, when was I going to retire? So I took that up, took you out. Y'all be good. If you need anything, let me know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
See you, Tom. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Public comment. We got anybody left?
It doesn't look like we have any signed up, although I do see we have a few audience members still here. So
Anybody like to speak during the public comment right now?
Nope.
I guess we have none. Alex, your turn.
All right. Well, just have one item here for you of substance, and that is the transient occupancy tax. So every few years, maybe even every year at this point, the General Assembly has been wrestling with the topic of rentals and who is the appropriate party to pay the taxes on those rental properties. This has come into play most notably, of course, with your vacation rentals, your short-term rentals, and those kind of activities. The 2025 session of the General Assembly did make an amendment to who is responsible for paying. They're actually trying to help the average person, and so they're putting the weight on the accommodations provider. So you're the one who is the listing, or in other words, your online agency has to remit the taxes if that is the entirety of the booking. So if you're an individual person, you have a house, you put the house through a third-party website, and all of your bookings go that way, then the third-party website is responsible for remitting it, not the individual person. In order to deal with that, we actually have to amend our ordinance, because the way we had left our ordinance the last time we revised it, which was in 2022, we linked to several sections of the state code. Those sections were the definition sections, and this amendment in this year was in the administration section. So our linkage, our attempt to future-proof ourselves through linkage actually did not work. So we have to go back and incorporate that. While doing this incorporation, Lisa requested that we go ahead and just adopt something that was based on a model ordinance that the Commissioner of the Revenues Association had worked up that deals with several different aspects of state code and formalizes that into our county code. And so we are putting out a fleshed out version of our code of ordinances, which is based substantively on the Code of Virginia. The most vital reason for doing this particular action is to ground ourselves better for when the commissioner needs to actually have enforcement action. In particular, if there's a case of a taxpayer who either refuses to remit the tax or puts in an amount that is knowingly false, this provides the clear standards by which the commissioner will be able to value what tax is actually owed. And the Commonwealth's attorney advised us that that was in our best interest in order to be able to successfully prosecute somebody for a willful or withholding of the tax payment or a fraudulent tax payment. So this is actually going to be beneficial for us in the long run if we have such a circumstance. Hopefully we do not. But if we do, we'll have our ground covered on that front. And like I said, vast majority of this language comes directly from the Code of Virginia itself. So there was not a lot of independent writing that was necessary on this. It was more of an organizational tool. But it will all now be officially in our Code of Ordinance as well.
Anybody got any questions? Anything else, Alex?
It does not change the overall tax rate. The tax rate remains the same as it was before the adoption of this particular item.
What's your enforcement mechanism on this? I mean, it's just...
Lisa, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, you know, people that, I mean, is it just by the honor system?
There's
So we don't have any way now of knowing,
Not really.
other than somebody saying, yes, I'm honest, I'm doing this.
Yes, and they file with us, they have to file by the 20th of each month for the prior
Month.
election, yes, for the prior month.
Okay.
But this just gives us back into the pool.
Okay.
I would think if there's going to be more of a situation where we would be able to notice and take action if somebody doesn't pay for successive months.
Probably not a tremendous amount of tax, though, is it? Maybe it is.
For your average individual one, it's probably not a significant total sum. But I mean, you could get if you had a hotel owner who was willfully not paying, then
Hotel.
that would be some
that would be
substantive revenues. But that would know we would know.
Yeah,
If a hotel doesn't pay for 3 months in a row, your office is going to well know that.
Yeah.
But they're just as much as anyone else would have to be prosecuted in that circumstance, and so we'd have to fall on the weight of her ability to assess what they were supposed to pay. So that's a huge advantage of the language as it's been drafted here, is to allow Lisa to set what that amount would be, and so that would be the standard by which they would owe us.
Okay. All right. Staff reports just.
Oh, we need to adopt this ordinance.
Okay.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Motion's been made to adopt this ordinance. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
In the staff reports, we have our customary items. We have one additional one in here, and that was in relation to the Boyden Elevator project that was approved in the budget that we just adopted last month. We have sourced that project, and so this is in accordance with our small purchase policy, informing the board that we have done that. The hope is for that elevator to be done in the later part of this year. The contract calls for 2026. We're hoping, because we are determinative that we are absolutely going forward with it, that they can get the parts here sooner. But they have quite a lead time on delivery. So it would be towards the end of this year would be the earliest that that elevator will be replaced. They did have somebody on site, the particular company, who is also our service provider for the elevator in this building. So we have a known working relationship with them, and they have an office in the Richmond area, so they are accessible to service us. They did have somebody on site this past week to do the initial surveying for the job. So hopefully that will be in sooner than later, and we'll be able to have the working elevator across the street once again.
That it?
That would be it.
Yeah. Okay. So, got the consent calendar?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Right. I assume that's a motion to approve.
Yes, sir.
All right. Everybody in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. All right, board member, madam, Mr. Spence. I promise I ain't gonna skip you.
Yes, sir, I got a couple of things. I don't usually do it this way, but I had a busy month, and I actually had the time to get out in the community a little bit. So I thought I'd share real quick some thoughts about that. So during the month of May, I had the pleasure to attend a variety of events. On May 15th, Mecklenburg High FFA banquet. Went to that banquet, and they had a great banquet. I was so proud of some of the participants and to hear about some of the great accomplishments that they had made this year. Just a great bunch of kids. They presented a certificate to the board, and they sent their appreciation for our continued support. And so I have the certificate for you all.
Okay.
I'd like to pass that on to Chairman.
Yeah, we've got a plaque here.
Oh.
Also, and I guess it's
same thing.
Kind of the same thing, not exactly the same thing.
Okay.
This one's nicer. So we'll go with this. Okay. I guess we can put this in the trophy hall of the new building.
But I thought that was very nice.
That is very
For
nice.
them to recognize. And,
That's a great program for those
extend,
kids.
it is really a great program. Then on May 22nd, I attended the Mecklenburg Middle School Awards ceremony. Heard about some great accomplishments there as well. May 23rd, I attended La Crosse Elementary program. They provided a good program for us. Very talented group of young kids. All of them were recognized for their promotions to the next level. And at the end of the program, this part was a little concerning, but I guess it's pretty routine. And I'm glad to hear that the principals are concerned about the children's safety. That at the end of the program, the principal did announce that for safety and security concerns of the students, that the students would be returned to the classroom before being released to only one of the parents, which was different from what they had done in the morning program. So I'm not sure what this was about, but I guess school superintendent, maybe the sheriff, maybe they're aware of any concerns that might have been going on. If not, they might want to ask, but at the end of the day, you know, I could tell that they're trying to keep the children safe. So I thought that was good. May 24th, I attended the Mecklenburg High School graduation, and overall, I would recommend everyone that that we have some very intelligent students in Mecklenburg County. I know you spoke at the event, and some of the kids got recognized and just very, very talented people that, kids that are in Mecklenburg County. So I was very happy to hear about that, very proud of the kids that were recognized. And next I chose to attend the annual Memorial Day ceremony at American Legion and VFW. They had a very nice memorial service. And then I was honored to attend the retirement banquet for some of our teachers that retired this year. I just want to say that I think it's going to be very challenging for us to, for the school board to replace some of these talented staff members that we're losing. And so if anybody knows anyone that might be interested in that field, encourage them to apply. I said all this to make a point. Whether it's a community event, whether it's beach music in Clarksville on Friday, Saturday night, or whether it's any of these events, whatever it might be. I go back to the Veterans Day ceremony was probably the one event that I attended that I think was needs to be recognized. I'm sad to say that you don't see a lot of people at the memorial service. And I've also learned that many people, they'll go up to a veteran and say, well, thank you for your service and that type of thing. But that's not what Memorial Day is about. So bluntly, I would say that all of us need to be reminded that for us to do any of the things that we do, including sitting at this meeting tonight, somebody had to die. And there's people that don't wrap their head around, especially generations after mine. There's people that just don't wrap their head around the fact that people had to die for us to have the freedoms that we have. And so I'll end with that.
Thank you very much. Ms. London?
Ditto to some of those things he said, especially the memorial service. But most of all, I'm elated that we have found some land for the La Crosse Elementary School. I think it's a very desirable location, not too far from where the school is now. And I guess after B&D finish doing whatever they need to do, we may hear more about it. Thank you.
Is that all you have, Ms. London?
Yes.
Thank you on that land acquisition. I guess we need to call you the rainmaker.
The property whisperer.
Mr. Franklin.
We had a thing a couple weeks ago, Robert, and just maybe a Russell question here. It's down in our area, it's a subdivision, and it's a house down there that's gotten sold a couple times here just recently, but it's a pretty big, nice house. Well, it's a quiet subdivision, but now I think it's a church owns it now. Church, Right. Right. And like it's every weekend there, it's, nothing against the church by any means, but, it's kind of a quieter area. And every weekend it's kind of having like a little camp and there's 25 or 30 kids down there, down there. So I think we did decide that a church possibly could do that.
Yeah, as long as, if they're staying inside the house, I can't touch it.
Right.
Tents and yard and stuff, then I can address that.
Right, and that started probably a couple months ago, and I just wonder if, we in the process of doing the new zoning ordinance and stuff like that, but if we put something in place, is that gonna be too late possibly to do anything there, Russell?
Yes, it may. Yeah, it could very well be grandfathered, yes, sir. I mean, I need a little bit more factual information to give you good advice, but yes, sir, that is possible, yes.
Yeah, it like I say, it's kind of tough on the people that live down there with all that every weekend, and the commotion and the stuff like that, and it won't set out to be that. So I just wanted something. And that's about all I got. The only thing, Mr. Hargrove, we probably won't be able to go to Cracker Barrel because Dennis said something about them older 60-year-old people will call them trying to make that turn. So I think we probably don't need to go to Cracker Barrel. We're going to have some problems.
I stop at McDonald's.
We're going to have some problems.
As long as you make a U-turn, you'll be all right.
Okay. That's all. Ms. Blocker.
Yes, I've noticed how the trash along the roadways very much improved.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciate that. Thank you for the job.
Sure have.
That's all.
That's all. Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about a topic that the agricultural sector faces in Mecklenburg County with some potential negative backlash. And what it amounts to in a nutshell, and just, Alex, anytime correct me if I'm wrong, but at the federal level, we have that big, beautiful bill that's on the Hill now, and I'm assuming that it passed the House. It's in the Senate now.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, the federal government has placed incentives on all commodities in the agricultural sector for the corporations and businesses to buy domestically produced commodities, to buy U.S. grown products. On the commodity list in that big, beautiful bill, they have excluded tobacco. And I'm hoping tonight that I can present a resolution in front of this board and we can adopt it and send it to our representatives at the federal level on the Hill. And the resolution reads as follows: to oppose modifications to products eligible under the duty drawback program. Whereas tobacco production has been a cornerstone of Mecklenburg County's agricultural economy, supporting local farmers, agribusinesses, and rural communities for generations. Whereas tobacco farming remains a vital component of Mecklenburg County's diversified agricultural operations, with 26 farms covering 2,153 acres, producing 5.5 million pounds of tobacco, according to the United States Department of Agriculture's 2022 Census of Agriculture. Whereas tobacco farming generates almost $15 million in sales per year for Mecklenburg County farmers, the second highest tobacco sales of any county in Virginia, and the 19th highest market value of tobacco products of any county in the United States, thereby contributing significantly to the financial stability of Mecklenburg County family farms, including farms that produce multiple types of row crops as well as livestock, products that also support the domestic market. Whereas tobacco farming represents almost 1.5% of the total GDP of Mecklenburg County. Whereas the federal duty drawback program established in the first trade law enacted by Congress in 1789 allows United States exporters to recover duties on materials used to produce goods for export, and has played a crucial role in helping the United States tobacco remain competitive in global markets. Whereas it is estimated that more than 3/4 of the tobacco grown in Virginia, including Mecklenburg County, is purchased by companies that actively export, with approximately 40% of that volume directly tied to the duty drawback program. Whereas any action to carve tobacco out of the duty drawback program would place immediate financial strain on Mecklenburg County farmers, the county economy, jeopardize export markets, discourage investment in rural manufacturing, and threaten the long-term sustainability of family farms and agribusinesses in the region. And whereas tobacco production represents not only a key economic driver, but also a deeply rooted part of Mecklenburg County's cultural heritage, history, and identity. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors that the board hereby declares Mecklenburg County's firm support for the retention and continued inclusion of tobacco and tobacco products within the duty drawback program, and authorize the county administrator to engage in any advocacy efforts that may be deemed necessary to advance this policy position of the board and the county. A copy of this resolution shall be transmitted to the members of the federal delegation that represents Mecklenburg County. I'd like to put that in form of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Gravitt. I think it's good that you brought that out. I don't know why, a legal commodity in the country is always kind of carved out. I completely get that some people don't like tobacco, but if you don't like it, that's okay, but it should be treated as any other crop that grows in this country. So with that said, any other discussion on his motion?
And this is a subject that it don't come back to the growers, a subject that goes to the company to give them incentive to buy American-made.
If they export, if a company exports the product, from what I understand, that there are some duties on that product. But if they remanufacture the product and send it back here, then they get those duties back or something. I don't know. It's pretty elaborate. It's highly political. It's not good for domestic grown tobacco in this country. I know that. And so,
in a nutshell, what it pretty much means is if they don't incentivize to buy U.S. grown tobacco, well, then the contracts and the volumes will decrease for this county. And if that happens, then the farmers are going to take a negative financial hit. And then that has a trickle-down effect to, our energy suppliers, nutrient, our fertilizer, chemical companies, all of our, just Napa and all of our prepared
Mecklenburg County taxes.
Exactly, the whole 9 yards. So it's not good, and I hope that we can send this up to the Hill, and hopefully some other counties can piggyback on it and get it included back on the list before they.
Yeah, can we send that to some of these major tobacco producing counties like Lunenburg, Pennsylvania,
sure.
Halifax, Charlotte, Brunswick?
Yeah, I'll pull the list and go down and do that. Yep.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. All right. Any more discussion? Y'all have heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Is that all you have, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Hargrove?
Thank you, sir. I do push much for Mrs. Seaman. She pulled right many years, I think 30 years, for 911, and that she was a dedicated servant to the service of Mecklenburg County. And also, one of the things I don't know, this Antelope Road solar project. When you asked, did you go through the? Did you actually go through the neighborhood or whatever? And yeah, after I went through and looked, it's from Chase City, South Hill, and other places. So I want to do. We had to refine what local community means. I don't know.
A lot of times their mailing address it's Boyton,
Right.
But they live somewhere else.
Okay. All right. And also, no offense, but Mr. Gravitt, thank you so much for taking over the 6-year plan. And I'm glad you left.
He just couldn't get it done, could he?
I get looked over every year. And the name of my road, he look over every year. But thank you for your consideration.
He'll come.
All right, thank you.
He'll dust you.
Help's coming. Help's coming.
Oh, boy. That's all you have? I don't have a lot, either just agree with, everything everybody said. Ms. Blythe, I meant to say something to you earlier, but I know we talked about it in the budget process about the Mecca Theater and the money we gave them, and we kind of wanted to find out, that they have a succession plan. I just wanted to follow up on that and see if you found out anything about,
I'll do a printout of that.
Okay, that'd be great. That'd be great. Certainly, want to invest in that, but we don't want it to just stop at a certain point. If somebody, exits or whatever. So anyway, thank you on that. I guess that's about all I have. I appreciate Dennis going to the FFA thing. I wasn't able to attend, but and bringing that up. So I really appreciate it. I guess I don't have anything else. Alex, you got anything?
Did you want to mention about our building?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do apparently have one other thing that I totally neglected over the course of this night. In the process of doing the construction for this facility, one of the items in there, which is, I think, almost everybody's favorite topic, is going to be replacement of these doors, both the entrance doors in the front, to make it so that you can actually walk in this building with bags or, if you or any other needs and don't have to slide in and out. And also the sidewalk in the front will be re-angled to allow for better access. As part of that work, they're going to have to shut the front of this building down from an accessibility standpoint. So we dictated that they were to not begin the work before this meeting tonight, so that all the public could come in and out, and they are to finish before the next board meeting. But any citizens that are going to have to come here for business-related purposes over the next month or so are going to have to come in the door downstairs, which of course was right adjacent to a parking lot. So hopefully that is even more convenient, especially for all the people who are going to zoning and building, which is right there. But I did want to let you all know and, use this opportunity, and we'll use the other forums available to us to say that for the next couple of weeks, you're not going to be able to get in the front doors of this building.
Okay. Sure, if you got anything. Everything good. That's what we want to hear from you. So anyway, we'll stand adjourned.